The crystal glasses clinked at the St. Regis Hotel's grand ballroom as my brother David smirked, sliding the children's menu toward me. The chicken fingers are cheaper, Anna. Wouldn't want to strain your startup budget. I glanced down at my Audemars Piguet watch, worth more than David's annual salary at our father's company, and thought about the irony of his concern for my finances. In less than 12 hours, my struggling startup would make its historic debut on the New York Stock Exchange. How thoughtful, I murmured, watching my father beam proudly at David from the head table. After 30 years as CEO of Barrett Technologies, he was retiring, passing the reins to my brother, the real businessman of the family. Speaking of budgets, my stepmother Margaret chimed in, adjusting her new tennis bracelet. Have you considered the position David offered you in accounts payable? A steady paycheck might be better than this tech experiment of yours. If they only knew that while they were planning this retirement party, Goldman Sachs was preparing the final details for Quantum Solutions IPO. My tech experiment was about to become the largest public offering in the industry's history. My phone buzzed discreetly. A message from my CFO. Final valuation confirmed. Opening price set at $150 per share. Conservative estimates put your net worth at $8.2 billion after tomorrow's bell. I'm managing, I replied softly, watching David parade around the room, accepting congratulations for his upcoming CEO position. Managing? David laughed, returning to our table. Is that what you call coding in your apartment? While I'm leading Barrett Technologies into the future. My apartment was actually the penthouse of a building I owned, and my coding had revolutionized quantum computing. But they'd learn that soon enough. Anna, my father called over, his voice carrying that familiar disappointed tone, at least try to look happy. This is a celebration of success, real success. Real success. I thought about the quantum processing technology my company had developed, the patents that would make Barrett Technologies' entire infrastructure obsolete within months. Of course, Dad, I smiled, accepting the children's menu with calculated grace. I wouldn't want to disappoint. That's the problem, Margaret Stage whispered to her friend. She always disappoints. Thank goodness David understands real business. My phone lit up again. CNBC interview confirmed for tomorrow's opening bell. They're calling it the tech IPO of the decade. David leaned over, his expensive cologne not quite masking the scotch on his breath. Look sis, I know you think you're some kind of tech genius, but it's time to face reality. Join the family company. Before your little startup crashes. If he only knew that his family company was already years behind the technology my team had developed. The quantum computing revolution was about to make traditional tech firms like Barrett obsolete. I appreciate the offer, I said quietly, watching the waiters uncork bottles of champagne for the toast. But I'm comfortable with my choices. Comfortable? Margaret scoffed. Living in that tiny apartment playing with computers? While David's been growing the company portfolio by millions. My watch, which contained more computing power than Barrett's entire mainframe, quietly tracked the hours until the market opening. Until my family would learn what real success looked like. Sometimes, I replied, carefully folding the children's menu, success looks different than you expect. Different. David laughed loudly, drawing attention from nearby tables. Is that what you call failure these days? My phone buzzed one final time. Pre-market trading indicators off the charts. Asian markets already responding to IPO news. You're about to become the youngest self-made female billionaire in tech. Looking around the room at my family's celebration of real success, I thought about how quickly perceptions could change. By this time tomorrow, they'd learn that the daughter they'd relegated to the children's menu had built something bigger than they could imagine. Sometimes the best revenge isn't ordering from the adult menu. It's owning the entire restaurant. And I own much more than that. The bell would ring tomorrow morning, and with it, everything would change. The question wasn't whether I could afford the adult menu. The question was whether they could afford to eat at the same table as me. The morning sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my penthouse office as I watched the pre-market trading screens light up with activity. In less than an hour, Quantum Solutions would make its debut on the NYSE, and my family's understanding of real success would be completely rewritten. Ms. Barrett, my executive assistant Claire rushed in. CNBC is set up in the lobby for the opening bell coverage. And She smiled slightly. Your family is watching the business news at the retirement brunch. I glanced at the security feed showing the St. Regis's private dining room, where my family had gathered to continue celebrating David's ascension to CEO. They had no idea that their champagne brunch was about to be interrupted by a very different kind of announcement. Has David checked any of the financial news? I asked, knowing the tech sector was buzzing with speculation about Quantum Solutions' revolutionary technology. He's been too busy giving interviews about his plans for Barrett Technologies, Claire replied. Though your stepmother has been trying to understand why her broker called about a game-changing IPO this morning. My phone lit up with a text from David. Hope you're not too hungover from the kids' menu sugar rush. Big day at Barrett, announcing my first strategic initiative as CEO. Before I could respond, my CFO Michael burst in with the latest numbers. Pre-market trading is insane. We're looking at opening well above the $150 target. Conservative estimates now putting your net worth closer to $10 billion. I stood, smoothing my custom Alexander McQueen suit, a far cry from the discount store clothes Margaret had mocked at last night's party. Is everything ready for the opening bell? Yes, Claire confirmed. Though, your father's office has been calling. Apparently, some of Barrett's major clients are asking about Quantum Solutions technology. Of course they were. Our quantum computing platform would make Barrett's entire infrastructure obsolete within months. David's strategic initiative would be irrelevant before he finished announcing it. My phone buzzed again, this time with a message from Margaret. Darling, what's this nonsense about some tech company going public? Your father's broker seems quite excited. Surely it's not your little project. I smiled, remembering her condescending tone when offering me the accounts payable position. You'll see soon enough, I typed back. The elevator doors opened as my senior management team arrived for the opening bell ceremony. Unlike Barrett's old guard executives, my team consisted of brilliant innovators who'd helped build Quantum Solutions from the ground up. Ms. Barrett, my PR director Sarah entered with fresh press packets. Every major news outlet is covering the IPO. And Barrett Technologies stock is already showing weakness as speculation grows about our quantum computing platform. I checked the time 30 minutes until the bell. Through the security feeds, I could see my family's brunch being interrupted by increasingly urgent phone calls. David's smug expression was starting to crack as his assistant kept bringing him market updates. Breaking news, the CNBC anchor's voice carried from the lobby screens. Tech industry sources are calling Quantum Solutions IPO a watershed moment in computing history. The company's founder and CEO Anna Barrett. In the St. Regis security feed, I watched David choke on his mimosa. That can't be right, Margaret's voice was clearly audible through the feed. Anna's company is just a small coding project. My phone exploded with notifications as the story spread. David's texts became increasingly frantic. What the hell is going on? Quantum Solutions is your company? Our clients are calling about your technology. Answer your phone. I turned to my team. Shall we head down? It's almost time for the bell. The lobby of Quantum Solutions headquarters, a building I owned in the heart of the financial district, had been transformed into a media center. Reporters from every major network jostled for position as I stepped off the private elevator. Ms. Barrett, they called out. How does it feel to become the youngest female tech billionaire? What impact will Quantum Solutions have on traditional tech firms like Barrett Technologies? Did your family invest in the IPO? I smiled, thinking of the children's menu from last night. Let's just say some people are about to learn that success doesn't always come with chicken fingers. The CNBC anchor approached for the pre-bell interview. Ms. Barrett, sources say Quantum Solutions technology will revolutionize the industry. Any comment on how this might affect companies like Barrett Technologies, which I understand is run by your brother? Through the security feeds, I could see David watching the broadcast, his face draining of color as he finally Googled my company's valuation. Innovation doesn't always come from expected places, I replied diplomatically. Sometimes it comes from people you've underestimated. The market was minutes from opening. My phone buzzed with a call from my father, but I let it go to voicemail. He'd have plenty of time to reconsider his definition of real success after the bell rang. The screens behind me showed the final pre-market numbers. Quantum Solutions was about to make history, and with it rewrite my family's understanding of business success. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's becoming exactly what they said you couldn't be. And in 5 minutes the bell would prove just how wrong they'd been. The opening bell rang across the New York Stock Exchange as Quantum Solutions stock symbol QNTM flashed across every financial screen in the world. The share price immediately jumped to $250, then $300, creating a market frenzy that would be talked about for years. "Ms. Barrett," Claire rushed over with a tablet, "your net worth just passed $12 billion. And," she paused, suppressing a smile, "your brother's strategic announcement at Barrett Technologies has been postponed indefinitely." I watched the chaos unfold through multiple feeds, financial networks scrambling to cover the historic IPO, tech analysts praising our quantum computing breakthrough, and most satisfyingly, the security cameras at the St. Regis showing my family's retirement brunch dissolving into panic. "Your father's company has issued a statement." Michael appeared with an update. "They're evaluating strategic options in light of recent market developments." Translation: they're terrified. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since the opening bell. The messages from my family grew increasingly desperate. "Dad, Anna, we need to talk immediately. This is about the future of Barrett Technologies." "David, you can't do this to me. It's my first day as CEO." "Margaret, darling, let's discuss this over dinner. The adult menu, of course." I smiled, remembering the children's menu from last night. "Claire, please send a response to my stepmother. Tell her I'm afraid I'm too busy counting my billions to join them for chicken fingers." The CNBC anchor approached for a follow-up interview. "Ms. Barrett, Quantum Solutions market cap has already surpassed Barrett Technologies' total value. Any comments on the family dynamics at play?" "Innovation doesn't care about family dynamics," I replied coolly. "It cares about vision, execution, and the courage to pursue what others dismiss as impossible." The screens showed Barrett Technologies stock beginning to slide as investors recognized the existential threat our quantum platform posed to traditional tech companies. David's first day as CEO was turning into a nightmare. "Ms. Barrett," Sarah entered with more updates, "Barrett's major clients are requesting meetings with us. They're concerned about their technology infrastructure becoming obsolete." "Of course they are," I murmured, watching David through the security feeds as he tried desperately to calm investors. "Schedule the meetings. It's time they understood what real innovation looks like." My father burst into the media center, looking significantly older than he had at last night's party. "Anna, we need to talk. Barrett Technologies. We need your technology." "How you need it?" I turned to face him, years of dismissal and disappointment crystallizing into this moment. "Not when I tried to tell you about it 3 years ago. Not when I asked for investment in my little coding project." David arrived next, his CEO confidence shattered. "This isn't fair. You can't just revolutionize the industry on my first day." "Fair?" I laughed softly. "Like giving me the children's menu was fair? Like dismissing every idea I brought to Barrett Technologies was fair?" The screens behind me showed Quantum Solutions stock continuing to soar while Barrett Technologies shares plummeted. The market was rendering its verdict on two very different kinds of leadership. "We can work together," my father pleaded. "A merger, a partnership. Anything to save Barrett Technologies." I walked to the window, looking out over the financial district where my company was making history. "You know what the funny thing is? I tried to work together. I tried to show you what quantum computing could do. But you and David were too busy planning his CEO coronation to notice." Margaret arrived last, her tennis bracelet catching the light as she wrung her hands. "Darling, surely we can discuss this as a family." "Family?" I turned back to face them. "Like when you relegated me to the children's table? Or when you offered me an entry-level position because, at least it was steady work?" The media crews were capturing every moment of this family drama. Tomorrow's headlines would be spectacular. "Here's what's going to happen," I continued, my voice carrying across the now silent media center. "Quantum Solutions will continue to revolutionize computing. Barrett Technologies will become increasingly irrelevant. And you," I smiled at David, "will learn what it's like to actually earn success instead of inheriting it." But I'm CEO," David stammered. "Of a company that just became obsolete," I finished for him. Though I hear the accounts payable department is always hiring. Something about steady work. The irony of throwing Margaret's words back at them wasn't lost on anyone. The financial networks were already running special reports on how the family disappointment had become the industry's newest powerhouse. Ms. Barrett, Claire interrupted gently, the quantum computing demonstration is ready. The one that shows exactly how our technology makes traditional systems obsolete. Perfect timing, I replied. Dad, David, would you like to see what real innovation looks like? I promise it's more impressive than chicken fingers. The next hour was a blur of technical presentations and market updates. My family watched in stunned silence as I explained how quantum solutions had leapfrogged a decade of traditional computing development, including everything Barrett Technologies had built. By end of day, the headlines told the story. Quantum Solutions soars in historic IPO. Barrett Technologies faces extinction as quantum computing era begins. From children's menu to tech titan, the Anna Barrett story. But my favorite was the small note in the business section. Barrett Technologies CEO postpones first day initiatives, cites market disruption by sisters company. Looking out over the city that evening, watching the stock tickers display my company's triumph, I thought about success. Not the kind that needs retirement parties and inherited titles, but the kind that changes industries and reshapes possibilities. Ms. Barrett, Claire entered one final time. Your dinner reservation is ready. The owner insisted on providing the full adult menu. I smiled, thinking of last night's children's menu. Tell them to send up their most expensive wine. And Claire? Send a case of juice boxes to Barrett Technologies boardroom. I hear they're having a rough day. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just proving them wrong. It's becoming so successful that they can't ignore how wrong they were. And as I raised a glass of Chateau Lafite in my office, watching Barrett Technologies' stock price continue to fall, I couldn't help but think that success tastes better than chicken fingers ever could.